It's good to see you guys again. And this is officially my second video. I told you guys I was going to post another one today, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about as far as, the healing journey is concerned. What I will do, though, again, I'm January Blue. Good to see you guys. I had an introductory video, which was my first video. So this one, I kind of wanted to talk about what my healing journey looked like when I officially started it. And I hope the sun is not too bright for you guys, because where I'm sitting, it's like real sunny. I'm at the park. There's like so many beautiful parks here. So the thing with me is that when it's like nice out and the weather has broke, I'm outside. I am not home at all. I want to be outside, especially, to get, my vitamin D3, my natural vitamin D3, and it just has so many benefits. So, and one of them is, raising the vibration and, lifting the spirits. So, and I'll gaze at it from time to time. And, it does me good. I don't know about y'all, but it just does me good. And then it makes my skin like red, brings out like that Native American side of me. So, but anyway, I hope it's not too bright. So, I wanted to go into healing because, again, the purpose of this channel is for us to heal as a collective, and I be the vessel that God is using on this channel for you guys to accomplish that goal in your healing process, beginning your healing journey. Most people, healing, or taking the steps to heal is difficult because most people don't know where to begin. And of course, the chaos with not knowing where to begin is that, you don't begin at all. Just like if you have a lot of stuff to do, and you're not feeling like even doing one of the things that's on your to-do list, you won't do anything at all, or you'll put it off for as long as you can. So I would say that many of us that are probably ready to get started, there's a lot to unpack. First of all, I know I had a lot to unpack, and I officially started my healing journey in the summer of 2023. So now we're 3 years in, like officially, like technically 3 years in. I would say I started going real deep with it. Now, the month of May is when I officially took the steps to get out of the situation I was in so that I could start my healing process. So that was step one, because it's hard to heal when you're in the midst of chaos. And I get it, some of you may not be able to get yourselves out of situations where it's just very chaotic right now, due to finances, or just due to confidence and believing in yourself, and having, self-worth issues, and not believing in yourself that you can take the steps to remove yourself out of situations that are chaotic, dramatic, traumatic for you, so that you can begin your healing journey. And so that was really step one for me in May of 2023. I removed myself out of a situation that I was in so that I could, officially start my healing process. And so the real healing began, I would say, in July or August of 2023, because that's when I sat down and I made my list. And I just got a notebook, just a regular notebook. I keep tons of notebooks because, things might come to mind, just something that I need to journal out, because I started by journaling, actually. That's how I started my healing process. I utilized the form of writing, of journaling. And it's just, words are magical. They're powerful. So what you write out, can happen for you, if you believe in that. And I do believe that Words are magic and they hold power. If you give them that, you can give anything, power. Again, if you believe in that. And that's something that you subscribe to. But I started making my list, and you have to be, when you make your list, you have to be, and I guess this video is just basically going to be about where to begin, like with your healing journey, how to get started, how to take the steps, especially if you lack confidence, like I said, or you lack belief, or that you even have the power to heal on your own. But you're never alone. You don't have to heal alone. You can always become a part of a community like this one, or a different one that you resonate with, or just get with people in person, or take on a counselor of sorts, or whatever you feel called to do. However source God is guiding you, you follow that guidance, because everybody's different. But what I did was I got a notebook and I started writing down all the things that I knew were issues for me, and then just with me, within myself. So I started writing everything down, and I made my list of all the things that I felt was wrong with me. And the thing with that is you have to be blatantly honest, with yourself. With this step. This is a very important step, because you're going to be writing down all the things that you know is a problem in your life in general, just as a whole. And being honest with yourself is how you're truly going to be able to combat the issues that you have. You don't need anybody else to tell you what's wrong with you. You should be able to look at yourself. But some of us do need what we would call, I guess, an accountability person, because somebody else may be able to see things about you that you don't see about yourself. So that's good too, having another person to call you out on what is wrong or what issues that you have. And then also too, developing a little bit of emotional maturity, and when that person or these people call you out on your stuff, because when they do that, you're going to add that to the list, and then you're going to say, hey, if you are being real and honest with yourself, you're going to say, hey, yeah, that is a problem. I do that, or I do act like that. You know what I mean? And you're going to add that to your list, and that's going to be something else that you're going to have to work on, tackle, and accomplish, so that you can heal that, whatever that is, because these different things that are issues within ourselves and that we have, they can keep us from, well, yes, they stunt our growth in so many ways. And it could be in all aspects of your life, but you could be sitting up missing out on opportunities because you lack confidence, and that could be an issue, and you write that down and you start working on that. So you make your list, and then you choose one thing. Don't get overwhelmed, and don't feel bad and shame yourself if you feel like there's a lot of things that you do need to work on. Don't be hard on yourself if your list is long, because I know my list was long. And, a lot of that too, because a lot of our wounds begin from all the way back to childhood. And so I had to be honest and sit with myself and recollect and recall some things that I didn't want to, that went all the way back to my childhood. Nobody really wants to remember some of the things that have happened to them, especially if they were pretty traumatic. And I've been through some things that were pretty traumatic, which, some things I'll go into talking about. So we just need to go back as far as we can, or as far as we can remember, and write these things down. And then after you do that, you just pick one thing. One thing off your list is all you're going to focus on until you feel that you have mastered that, and that it is no longer an issue. Meaning no longer an issue. Maybe somebody, hey, you're tested by God, and somebody brings up an issue that you used to have, or something that you used to do. And then you realize when they bring it up, it doesn't even bother you. I feel like when you have officially mastered something, an issue or a wound, somebody could talk about it or bring it up, or you may even think about it, and it doesn't faze you. Like you don't budge. So that's when you know, or if something happens, just an occurrence in life, in everyday life, an occurrence, or maybe something happens, an event or whatever, that could have possibly triggered that same wound that you used to have, and it doesn't bother you anymore. That's when you know you have closed that wound. Now, the other thing too with wounds is that we know that there's a dark side to life, there's a light side to life. You don't have dark without light, and there's no light without dark, right? We have both of these things that occur in this realm, and I'll get more into that as well, because I will be talking about a lot of the dark. We already know what the light is, but I'll be talking about both. But my journey has been mostly dealing with darkness. So this channel also will be too about going into, the darker side of things. But when dealing with the darkness, that the dark side, or the dark ones, they love to feed on our wounds. What is hurting us, what is keeping us sad. And of course, those wounds is what essentially is keeping us stuck in our life, in whatever way that may be, to where we're not able to elevate fully and completely the way that we should. And especially when it comes to our purpose, for those of us that know that we have that and we are striving to work toward accomplishing our purpose in this life before we exit. So what the dark ones like to do is they like to use these wounds against you. That's like when a person that is consumed by hurt and pain and sadness and trauma, a person like that is like candy to a dark one, or even the devil himself, especially if they see something in that person that they want, like their destiny or their gifts, the very reason why that person is here. And if the dark ones can see in you what you can't see in yourself, they want to keep you in that state. And that is why healing is so important, so that you can come out of that state of being and live the life that you were meant to live in this realm. Because I honestly do not believe that those of us that come here to do, light work, the works of God, we're meant to suffer, live a life of suffering and being in survival mode and struggling and sad and hurt and can't enjoy. To me, I don't feel that that is the way life should be lived. You should be able to have a life of joy. Yes, you're going to have challenges, but you shouldn't be sad and mad and depressed and, replaying, traumatic events from your childhood or your teenage years or your young adult years or whatever. Whatever that just depending on what point or stage you are in your life. I don't believe that. I'm pretty sure there's many of you that don't believe that either. But like I said, that is why healing is so important, so that we can close those wounds, so that the dark ones don't have something to feed off of that's going to keep you stuck, that's going to keep you sad, that's going to keep you depressed, that's going to keep you broke, that's going to keep you from, success, that's going to keep you from being the leaders that you were meant to be. So that's why healing is so important, so that you can come into yourself, learn who you are, take hold of your purpose, and and claim your heaven on earth, which I feel is the gift, that life provides by way of God. When you do the work that He's called you to do, and you are accomplishing your goals by mastering your lessons here in Earth School, and you're passing your tests, and you're just batting a 100 when it comes to what God is laying on your desk when it comes to Earth School. But like I said, healing is so important. But also, like I said, it can be difficult healing, because there's so much going on. There's so much to unpack, so you don't know where to begin. So that is where I began. I just started journaling, and then I decided, okay, I'm writing some things out. I'm starting to open up some wounds here that I know I need to take a deeper look at. So now let's make the list. Let's be honest. Because also, I just was ready. I was ready. And this is for those of you that you're ready. You're tired of living the way that you've been living, and you can't take another day living like that. You can't take another step being the person that you are, because you know that you are destined to be somebody greater than what you see in front of you. You just can feel it in your soul, deep in your soul, that you are not meant to die the way that you are living. And once you take a stand, that is the point where I feel that you should go ahead and start looking into doing your deep shadow work. And again, you have to be honest with yourself about what needs to be done, the steps that you need to take in order to get it done. And again, like I said, I made my list, and I chose one thing at a time. And once I felt that I healed that one wound that I focused on, then I moved on to the next, of course. And you're just going to do it that way, one thing at a time. You're going to conquer one wound, and then you're going to move on to the next, and so on and so forth. And whatever it's going to take for you to accomplish healing your wounds, whether that is getting some self-help books, or like I said, becoming a part of a community. If you're an introvert like me, I wasn't really feeling that. So what I did was I went online and I found a community that way. I actually was called to look into tarot, which is a divination tool where they use cards, and those cards provide messages from source. And so it's not a dark tool, or it's not used for evil. It actually is the readers that are using it for light. They read the energy, the real ones. They are going to read the energy off of those cards, and they will provide messages from the divine through that energy from those cards. So what I did was I used tarot. Tarot was a really, really huge part of my healing journey, because I decided, okay, I'm going to search readers online that I resonate with, and I would listen to their readings, and it was like they were picking me up, picking my energy up, like telling my story, and I just thought it was absolutely breathtaking and mind-blowing. But the reason also why I started journaling was because one of the readers, she suggested journaling. And I said, okay, I'm going to give that a try, because I remember as a child, I always loved reading. I love still to this day reading and writing. And I remember there was a teacher that I had. I don't remember her name or even what she looks like. It's been so long ago, but I think this was in fifth grade, and it was like an extra class that we had at the end of the day. And it was just a class where, we could just write whatever came to our mind. And I wrote in this journal, what I was feeling. And then she would write back. And I just loved that. But of course, I didn't have anybody to write back to me. That would have been nice. But I just started journaling because one of the readers suggested it. And to me, it was just, like I said, a direct message from source through this vessel, this reader. And that's where I began. And, I just resonated with that. And it fit me because of how I used to like to write, just random things growing up. So that was my process. And then I started writing little affirmations on sticky notes and putting them around my room. I think a lot of people do that. The place where I was staying that I moved to, that I left my chaotic situation that I moved to. It was a nice bright space. I bought some more plants to bring some extra oxygen into my space. I started lighting incense. My space, like I said, was really bright. So and then it also faced like a wooded area where there was water. So I just had like a very nice setup to begin my healing journey, and I just made the space more welcoming, more inviting, more positive, more uplifting for my mood, because I knew that, I was going to be experiencing a lot of different emotions, flow of emotions during the healing process, and I did. And, those different emotions that I experienced. So I just would listen to their messages, whenever I felt like I needed an uplift. It wasn't every day, but whenever I felt like I needed an uplift. I love music, so I would always listen to music. That is a great way to raise your frequency. When you're feeling low, when you're feeling down, dancing, of course. Whatever it is that you feel like you need to do, because you're going to need a lot of support during your healing journey. If you have people that you feel would be understanding and supporting and uplifting during your healing process, bring them on. By all means, that's beautiful too. I didn't have that, but that's great if you do have that. Bring them on and allow them to be that support and that shoulder to lean on if they're willing to. That would be great too. But like I said, whatever you can utilize to help you through your journey, you're going to need it. Especially if you are serious about getting better. And like I said, closing these wounds is very important, because this is how you keep the darkness out. That's how you get it out, and that's how you keep it out. Okay, and then also keeping it out is making sure you put your boundaries in place. You have to have boundaries. If you know that there's a person in your life that is just not treating you right, you have to let them know, hey, I cannot do this. I'm done. The boundaries would be, I cannot do this anymore, and not letting them back into your energy or your space or your life, period. And keeping your word on that. And that's going to be hard depending on what type of relationship or connection it was or is. It's going to take a lot of confidence. It's going to take a lot of willpower. It's going to take a lot of determination and strength. It will. But the different flow of emotions that I was experiencing, which is, sadness, there was depression there was questioning myself, am I making the right decision? Did I make the right decision? When I know that I did. So there's that. Just a lot of crying. And crying is good. You're going to experience a lot of crying. And you're going to experience even, backtracking. You may even fall off and go back to a situation or a person that is not good for your healing process, or may be the very reason why you need to heal. Don't beat yourself up about that either. I've been there, done that too, where I've left the situation, went back, left the situation, went back, until I finally gained the strength to be completely done with it altogether. And a lot of times, you know, if somebody's thinking about you or talking about you and they miss you, that's called an energetic projection, which I'll get into discussing on this channel too. We'll get into all that stuff, because what people feel, we feel it too. Especially if you are just one of those sensitive beings that, you know, can feel what others feel. So there's that can just tend to bring on moments of weakness for you, where you fall back into temptation or fall back into your old ways or old habits, and you go back to a situation or a person, knowing that that is the very reason why you need to heal in the first place, or that caused damage or trauma for you, that created a wound, and that essentially is keeping you held to something dark, which may be that person or that thing or that place, and that's, you know, creating this stagnancy that won't allow you to move forward from that, whatever that may be for you. But I'm not going to make this video too long. We'll talk more about healing throughout this journey that we're on together, for those of you that have, you know, allowed me to be a safe space for you to learn and to grow with. You know, I'm really excited to get into so many things that we need to talk about. I feel that I'm pretty sure a lot of others are discussing, but I just really want to get into the deepness of it as best I can, because there's just so much that gets left out, or doesn't have enough explanation, or doesn't have a deep enough explanation as to why we feel certain things, experience certain things, can't seem to move on, can't seem to, you know, do what it is that we need to do for ourselves in order to get better. But I just wanted to just do a little bit of a brief explanation. I know it's not brief because we're already almost 30 minutes in, but I just wanted to discuss healing and why it's so important. Healing, like I said, it just, and some will say shadow work. You will hear shadow work too. I love that term. The way I like to describe shadow work is just basically, like I said, healing the wounds, the trauma, what has happened to you in the past, or even just 5 minutes ago, that hurt you, that created something in you, that has created the space of, like a shadow space, or a space of darkness within your soul that is, I would say, originally or naturally filled with light. But the wound creates a shadow. And so as we heal these wounds and we do our deep shadow work, we're able to close that. We're able to cast those shadows out by healing. And when you do your healing work, you're bringing light in. You're bringing in that light to cast the shadows out, so that there won't be any spaces within you, within your soul, for the dark ones to hide in and to wreak havoc and chaos and cause destruction within your soul, you know, and corrupting your mind and corrupting your spirit, because that's what it's designed to do. Darkness, or the dark ones, that's what they are designed. I say it, I don't call them they. That's what it is designed to do. So I hope that you all were able to take what you needed from, you know, everything that I said in this video, and that for those of you that are ready to do your healing work, that I was able to also provide you with some information on where to begin, or even how to begin, by, you know, also letting you know where I began and how I got started. And it wasn't easy. It's not easy. But when you make your mind up to do it, you're going to go ahead and do it. You're going to take the steps. Whatever you got to do it, you're going to do it. And you're going to sit down and be serious about it. But when you're not ready, or if you're not quite ready, you're going to go back and forth about it. You're going to put it off. And that's okay too. We are ready in our own time. And there's I believe in divine timing, and there's divine timing for everything. So some of us will do our healing work and step up to the plate and, step into our purposes in this lifetime, and some of us won't. So it's just that plain to me. Either you're ready or you're not. Either you will or you won't. Either it's going to happen in this lifetime or it won't. For me, definitely healing was on the table this lifetime around, because I'm not interested in coming back to go through what I went through in this lifetime. This is it for me. I'm completing my soul contract, and I'll go into what those are in this lifetime, and then that's going to be that on that, and I'll go back to my origin, and that's that. Like I'm like, God, I did what you asked me to come here to do, and that was that on that. So, at the end of my journey in this realm, in this life, that's the conversation, that I'm gonna have with God. Seriously, that's it. But of course, if there's a request by God for me to come back, God is God. God is going to get what God wants, right? Spirit gets what Spirit wants. So that's where I'm at again with my journey. And so depending on where you all are with your journeys, you'll either answer the calls or you won't, right? And some of us, we get a little hesitant and resistant in the beginning, and then we eventually answer, right? Some of us that know, that we can just be a little bit hard-headed and stubborn. I definitely am hard-headed and stubborn. But I've gotten so much better, though, healing, because of the healing work that I've done. That's why I've gotten better. But I'm going to end it here. For those of you that are ready to do your healing work, if you need any tips or any advisement, you can comment me in the comment section. I'll be happy to assist you there until, I can assist a little bit further. I'm just really going to be focusing on putting some videos out to uplift and encourage the collective in whatever way that may be, and whatever messages I'm feeling called to deliver on whatever days I'm going to be doing that. I'm planning, though, to put videos out on, I would say definitely Saturdays, because actually Saturdays I have like a plan for you guys. I'm not going to talk about it, but I just want to do so many different things, and I'm not just going to be on here just talking. This is going to be a channel that is going to have as much variety as I can come up with, to keep you guys engaged, but also, this is a channel for healing. So, I want to do as many things, or provide as many things as I possibly can, with variety and with a creative, spin to it, so that you guys, are motivated to come over here and, listen to what I have to say, and, apply that if it's something that you feel you can apply to your lives. But I hope that I said something that was encouraging and uplifting for you guys today. Again, welcome to my channel. I want you always to feel comfortable coming here and realizing that this is a safe space to heal, to grow, and, to share our stories together as a collective in order to elevate. All right. So you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I've said that in my first video I just posted. My goodness, my first video. Oh my gosh. I'm just so new to this thing too, just being a YouTuber, and just dealing with IT, You know, I'm not an IT person, so I'm just like learning as I go. And as you guys see things, or if you have any pointers, please help a sister out, because, you know, I don't know nothing about technology too much, and I'd rather not, but, you know, it's just the way that, you know, the world has gone, and it's getting more and more where it's revolving around technology. But I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and you all take care. All right. Love, peace, and grace.